I always thought my sister and I were close, not best friend close, but a kind of unshakable, blood-tied bond. Sophie was the younger one, the spark plug. She lit up rooms, craved attention, wanted the fairy tale life with the big dress and the man who adored her. I was quieter, steadier. Luca and I had been together for 6 years, and though we hadn't married yet, we had what I thought was peace, stability, trust. Sophie, on the other hand, was always chasing something, a new job, a new look, a new man. When she got engaged to Mark, I was happy for her. He seemed decent, respectful, nothing like her usual flings. So when she invited Luca and me to a casual double date at a trendy restaurant to celebrate, I agreed without much thought. She said it would be low-key, just the 4 of us. But when we arrived, I knew immediately she'd lied. It wasn't just Mark and Sophie. There was another man there, Mark's brother, Adrian. Tall, smug, dressed like he was going clubbing instead of to dinner. Sophie leaned in with a grin and whispered, "Just thought I'd throw in a little eye candy for you. Adrian's single." I froze. "Sophie, I'm with Luca." She laughed like I was being ridiculous. "Oh, come on, it's just dinner." I should have left right then. But I didn't. I stayed. For her. The dinner was uncomfortable from the start. Adrian kept making comments that to anyone else might have sounded charming, but to me, they landed wrong. He stared too long. Touched my arm when he passed the bread. When I went to the bathroom midway through the meal, he followed me. At first I thought he just happened to be headed that way. But when I turned to leave and found him blocking the exit, I knew. He leaned in, close enough to smell his cologne. "Your boyfriend doesn't appreciate you. I can tell. You deserve better." I stepped back. Move. But he didn't. His hand brushed my waist, possessive, casual, like he owned access to my body because I'd laughed at one of his jokes earlier. I shoved past him hard. My heart was in my throat. I didn't even return to the table. I walked straight outside and called Luca. He came and picked me up. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning I called Sophie. When I told her what happened, she was silent. Then she said, "Are you sure you're not misinterpreting? Adrian can be a flirt, but he's harmless." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I'm telling you, he touched me. He cornered me. Sophie, he followed me into the bathroom." She sighed. "Elena, please. Don't do this right now. I just got engaged. Adrian is Mark's brother. If this gets out, it'll ruin everything." That's when it hit me. She wasn't going to believe me, not because she didn't trust me, but because believing me would cost her too much. I tried again. "He assaulted me. I can't do this." She cut in. "You always need to make things about you." She hung up. I stared at the phone for what felt like hours. The betrayal wasn't just in what Adrian did. It was in how quickly Sophie chose him, a man she barely knew, over me. Over the next few days, no one in the family brought it up. Sophie said nothing. Mark texted me once to clear up the misunderstanding. My parents said it was best not to rock the boat. So I swallowed it. I told myself it was better this way. For peace. For family. But something broke in me that night. And no amount of silence could ever glue it back together. 3 years passed. On the surface, everything looked normal. Sophie and I still spoke, birthdays, holidays, occasional texts. But our bond was hollowed out, like a fruit left in the sun too long. Dry on the inside. Luca never brought up that night unless I did, and I rarely did. Every time I thought about Adrian, my stomach turned. But time has a way of dulling even the sharpest wounds, until someone starts twisting the knife again. Sophie's wedding was set for May. She called me in February, giddy and out of breath, talking a mile a minute about colors, dresses, venues. I listened, polite but detached. Then she dropped the bomb. "You're going to be a bridesmaid," she said, like it was a reward. "I already picked out the dress for you. And guess what? You'll be walking with Adrian." I stopped breathing. "What?" "Adrian," she repeated. "Mark's brother? Remember? He's the groomsman you're paired with." I went cold. "Sophie, you can't be serious." "Oh, come on," she said, brushing it off. "That was years ago. He barely remembers it, and honestly, you probably overreacted. He said he was just trying to be friendly." "Friendly?" My voice cracked. He cornered me in a bathroom. Silence. Sophie, I didn't make that up. She let out a breath, the kind she used when I was being difficult. Elena, I'm asking you not to make drama out of this. It's my wedding. It's one weekend. No, I said, more firmly than I expected. I won't walk with him. In fact, if he's in the wedding party, I don't want to be in it at all. Her tone changed instantly. You're being selfish. It's not all about you. You always find a way to ruin things when they're not centered around you. I felt like I was 17 again, being blamed for a storm I didn't cause. Then I won't come, I said, surprised by my own calm. She laughed, harsh and ugly. If you're not in the wedding, then neither is Luca. You don't get to pick and choose. So that was it. The cost of protecting myself was exile. I hung up without another word. That night, I told Luca everything, not just what happened in the restaurant, but what had been building inside me ever since. The pressure to keep quiet, the guilt of tearing the family apart if I spoke up, the years of pretending I was okay just to keep everyone else comfortable. He didn't say much at first. He just took my hand and said, "Then don't go. Don't put yourself through that again. Not for them." But saying no wasn't as easy as it sounded. My parents called the next day. My mother asked me to just be civil and think of how hard Sophie's worked for this day. My father said, "You don't want to make this kind of thing public, Elena. It'll hurt your sister's reputation. Your own, too." There it was again. The old message, dressed up in new words: be quiet. Be small. Don't make a scene. But something inside me had shifted. Maybe it was the years of carrying their silence like a weight. Maybe it was the realization that peace built on denial was no peace at all. I sent Sophie a short text: "I love you, but I won't be in your wedding. Please don't contact me about it again." She never replied. What followed was silence. Loud, punishing silence from my parents, scattered texts from extended family trying to understand both sides, and a single voicemail from Mark asking me to reconsider. For the sake of the day. But I didn't answer any of them. For the first time in years, I chose myself. And I didn't feel selfish. I felt free. The silence didn't last. It never does in families like mine, ones built on keeping appearances tidy and emotions buried. 2 weeks after my refusal, my parents invited everyone over for dinner. To clear the air. I should have known better. But Luca insisted on coming with me, saying maybe it was time to speak the truth openly. So we went. The moment we walked in, the tension was thick enough to taste. Sophie was there, of course, sitting next to Mark, clutching his arm like it was a lifeline. Adrian wasn't present, but his absence felt like a presence all on its own. My mother smiled too brightly. My father poured wine like it could drown the awkwardness. My brothers, Julian and Nico, hovered at opposite ends of the table, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Dinner started stiffly. Chatter about the menu, the weather, work, everything except the reason we were all there. Then Sophie broke the silence. "I just want to move on," she said, staring directly at me. "All this drama over something that happened years ago. It's exhausting." "Something that happened?" I repeated quietly. "He assaulted me." Her eyes rolled. "You keep saying that." Luca's hand tightened around mine under the table. Julian spoke up. "I was there that night, Sophie. Elena came home shaking. She couldn't talk for hours. She overreacted." Sophie snapped. "Adrian said she misread him." "Are you listening to yourself?" Nico said sharply. "You're defending a guy who cornered your sister in a bathroom." "Because I know Elena," she shot back. "She always has to be the victim when things don't go her way." That hit harder than I expected. The accusation wasn't new, but hearing it out loud, in front of everyone, felt like a slap. My father cleared his throat. "Enough. This conversation is inappropriate for dinner." "Inappropriate?" I said, my voice trembling. "What's inappropriate is pretending it didn't happen." No one spoke. Not one person looked at me except Luca and my brothers. Finally, my mother murmured, "Sweetheart, maybe it's best to let this go. You've built a good life. Why dig it up again?" "Because it never stopped hurting," I said. Sophie scoffed. "You're just jealous." I blinked. "Jealous?" "Yes," she said. "Because I'm getting married and you're not. You want to ruin my happiness because you can't stand to see me have something you don't. That was the breaking point. Years of swallowed pain cracked open like glass. I stood, tears blurring my vision. You think I would lie about being assaulted just to hurt you? You think that's who I am? She looked away. That was answer enough. Julian stood too. If you're going to keep pretending she made it up, count me out of this family circus. Nico nodded. Same here. Our parents said nothing. Not one word. I walked out with Luca's arm around me, shaking from rage and grief. Outside, the night was cold and still. I wanted to scream, to cry, to rewind everything to before that dinner, before that night in the restaurant. But I couldn't. And maybe that was the point. The truth didn't fix anything, but it finally set a boundary. On the drive home, Luca asked if I was okay. I told him no. But I also told him I felt lighter, like I'd finally stopped begging for people to see what they didn't want to see. I didn't go to the wedding. Neither did my brothers. Sophie didn't reach out again. And for the first time, I began to understand that protecting myself didn't make me cruel. It made me whole. The invitations came anyway. A thick cream envelope, gold embossed lettering, and my name printed in looping script like nothing had happened. I didn't open it. I tossed it in the drawer with the others, cards from Sophie over the years, birthday notes, photos we used to take in photo booths as kids, grinning with matching bows in our hair. The next few weeks passed in a strange fog. My parents stopped calling. Extended family started posting wedding countdowns and photos from bridal showers I wasn't invited to. Sophie's narrative had taken hold. I was the bitter sister, the dramatic one, the jealous one trying to sabotage her big day. But the silence was worse than the smears. Then Julian called. You need to see this, he said, voice low. I ran into someone I knew from college. She used to date Adrian. The word used to landed with weight. She said he was messed up. Julian continued. He assaulted her. She never pressed charges because Adrian's dad threatened her. Paid her off. I asked around. There are more stories. My blood went cold. How many? 3 that I could confirm. And probably more who won't talk. He sent screenshots, emails between Adrian's father and university officials, copies of incident reports swept under the rug, one woman's handwritten statement never filed with police. I felt sick. My story wasn't isolated. It was part of a pattern. A pattern Sophie had chosen to ignore. Nico joined in, furious. We need to tell her. I hesitated. She won't believe me. Then let her not believe all of us. So we arranged a meeting, not some emotional ambush, just a quiet sit-down at a coffee shop near Sophie's place. Julian and Nico came with me. I didn't expect Sophie to show. But she did. She walked in wearing oversized sunglasses and that same controlled, superior smile she'd perfected over the years. She ordered a latte before sitting down, like this was some casual brunch instead of a reckoning. Julian went first. Calm, factual. He laid out what he'd learned. Nico followed, backing it up with names, dates, documents. When I slid the folder across the table, Sophie barely looked at it. Where did you get this? She asked, eyes narrowed. Does it matter? I said. It's real. You all went digging into my fiancé's family to prove what? That you were right? No, Julian snapped. To protect you. To show you who he really is. Sophie crossed her arms. This is a smear campaign. Adrian said this would happen. He told me Elena was obsessive. That you'd gang up on him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You think I planned this? You think I fabricated a network of victims? She stood shaking her head. You're unbelievable. All of you. Sophie, I said quietly. I'm trying to save you from marrying someone dangerous. She leaned down, inches from my face. You're not trying to save me. You're trying to destroy me. Then she walked out. The coffee shop went silent around us. My stomach churned with something worse than anger, futility. Later that night I wrote her a letter. Not a plea. A boundary. You've made your choice. I can't force you to believe me, or the others. But I won't let you pretend I didn't speak the truth. You are marrying a man who assaults women. I will not be part of your life if he is. This is my final word. I never mailed it. I emailed it instead. She never replied. My parents didn't call. Neither did Mark. The invitations kept coming to relatives, the social media countdown continued, and the family machine churned on, pretending the truth hadn't cracked through the center of it. But I didn't chase their approval anymore. I was done trying to be heard by people who only listened when it was convenient. And I was no longer afraid of being the one who ruined the picture. Because sometimes, the picture needs to burn. The wedding went on without me. Photos flooded social media, Sophie in white lace, Mark beaming, Adrian smug in his tux. I stared at my phone screen in numb silence, scrolling past caption after caption calling it the perfect day. I wondered if any of those guests knew. If they had any idea who was standing at the altar next to the groom. Julian and Nico attended, reluctantly. They told me they had to see it through for Mom and Dad, who were pretending nothing was wrong. I didn't argue. Everyone has their line. I had drawn mine. They drew theirs. They promised to stay distant from Adrian. To keep an eye on things. I don't know what they were expecting, maybe the same empty charm Adrian always wore, the well-practiced manipulation. But what happened that night shocked even them. The reception was held in some luxury vineyard estate an hour outside the city. Fancy white tents, candlelit tables, live jazz quartet, Sophie's dream brought to life. Luca and I stayed home. We ordered takeout, watched an old movie, and tried not to talk about it. But the whole time, I felt sick, a tight coil in my chest, a storm waiting to break. Then, just after midnight, I got a call from Nico. Something happened. My pulse spiked. What? He did it again. Adrian. At the reception. The words didn't register at first. Then I heard the panic in his voice. There was a server, young girl, maybe 19. She was clearing glasses near the bar. Adrian cornered her. Same MO. Hands on her. Whispering in her ear. She tried to push him off. I sat up straight. Did anyone see? Yeah, he said. Julian did. And another guest. There was yelling. The girl ran out crying. Adrian tried to play it off like a misunderstanding, but people weren't buying it. Word spread. Fast. I couldn't breathe. What did Sophie do? She screamed at him. Said he was drunk. Said he was ruining everything. Then the manager asked him to leave. When he refused, security escorted him out. Some guests left early. Others started arguing. The whole night imploded. My chest ached with something I didn't expect, sorrow. I didn't want to be right. But I had been. And now another girl had suffered for it. The next day, I got a message from her. Her name was Elena. She found me through Julian. She said she'd heard what happened to me, and that I was the only one who might understand. I met her the next week. She was trembling when she told me. Her voice cracked. She said Adrian told her she was asking for it. That no one would believe her, that her job would be gone if she said a word. She cried when I said I believed her. She hugged me like I was the only person keeping her upright. So I did what no one had done for me. I helped her file a report. I gave my own statement. Julian and Nico did too. The university victim from years ago stepped forward after hearing the news. So did another woman from Adrian's old office job. The story broke 2 weeks later. Local media first. Then national. Headlines reading, groom's brother ejected from wedding amid assault allegation. Wealthy family silent as multiple accusers come forward. Sophie went dark on social media. Our parents called, finally. My father, trembling with shame. My mother crying. They said they hadn't known. That they never imagined it could be true. But I had told them. Years ago. I had begged them to believe me. Now it was too late for pretending. The family image was shattered. Reputation? Gone. Sophie's dream wedding, the perfect life she'd built like a glass castle, it crumbled. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I grieved. For the girl I used to be, who kept quiet to make everyone else comfortable. For the sister I'd lost long before the wedding day. And for the other women who'd been told their pain was inconvenient. But this time, someone believed us. And that changed everything. The fallout was swift and brutal. Adrian was arrested a week after Alina filed her report. More women came forward, quietly at first, then publicly. A former coworker from his finance job submitted a formal statement to the DA. A college student who'd never even met me emailed me after seeing my name in an article. He cornered me at a party sophomore year. she wrote. I never told anyone until now. The case built momentum. Adrian's father, a well-connected executive, tried to smother it, legal threats, hush money, everything you'd expect from a man more invested in image than justice. But the wall of silence had cracked, and no amount of money could patch it up this time. He couldn't hide the truth anymore. Sophie vanished for a while. She didn't post, didn't return calls. Then one day, she messaged me. Just 3 words, I'm so sorry. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't answer. A few days later, Julian called. You're not going to believe this, he said. Sophie had found photos. Buried in Luca's phone. But not my Luca, her husband. The one she'd married that night, blind to everything unraveling around her. He'd taken photos of me from the restaurant years ago, without my knowledge. They were time-stamped, grainy, but unmistakable. One of them was of me at the table, another blurry one outside the bathroom. He had kept them. For leverage, Adrian had said. In case I ever made too much noise. The betrayal knocked the wind out of me. Sophie sent me a longer message this time. A real one. She told me she'd found the photos by accident. That she confronted Luca, who admitted everything, that Adrian had asked him to hold on to them, that their father had suggested it as insurance, that they never expected me to actually fight back. She said she threw Luca out that night. She said she filed for divorce the next morning. And that she was going to therapy. The message ended like this. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I needed to tell you the truth. I believed what was easiest to believe, because believing you meant destroying the world I thought I'd built. I'm so sorry. I hope someday you'll understand. I read it over and over. There was no part of me that felt satisfaction. Only grief. And somewhere beneath it, relief. Because now she finally saw it. Not just what happened to me, but how easily she had chosen comfort over truth. I didn't reply. Not at first. I took long walks. I sat in the park. I talked with Alina and the other women. I thought about the cost of being right. The years lost, the pain buried, the family that shattered and would never be the same. But I also felt something else. I felt heard. And that mattered more than I ever realized. A month later, the case was officially set for trial. Adrian's lawyers pushed for a plea deal. Lesser charges, in exchange for no prison time. Alina and the others agreed, not because they didn't want justice, but because they didn't want to be dragged through the mud just to prove what everyone already knew. I supported them. I didn't need a courtroom verdict to validate my experience. The truth was out. People knew. Sophie started writing me letters. I didn't open the first few. Then one arrived with a drawing inside, a photo of us as kids that she'd sketched from memory. I cried when I saw it. Not because I forgave her, but because I missed the version of us who took that photo, before everything broke. Still, I said nothing. Until one night I wrote a reply. Just one line, I'm glad you're getting help. I didn't owe her more than that. And maybe I never would. Some wounds don't close. But they do stop bleeding. And I was finally learning how to heal without waiting for someone else to make it right. Life didn't magically get better after Adrian pled guilty. The headlines faded. The outrage passed. He took a deal, probation, mandatory counseling, registration. No jail time. His father's money worked, just not the way they wanted. The damage to their name was permanent. Adrian left the States soon after. Sophie told me in a letter that she hadn't spoken to him since the plea hearing. I never asked her to. That was her choice to make, not mine. Sophie finalized the divorce 6 months later. She started therapy, stayed off social media, and, as far as I could tell, began the long, uncomfortable work of looking inward. We didn't become close again. Not really. But we weren't enemies either. Sometimes healing is just letting silence turn into something less sharp. One morning in early spring, I got a message from Julian. You still thinking about doing it? He meant the wedding. Mine. Luca had proposed quietly last year, no fanfare, no photographers, just us in the kitchen with morning coffee and mismatched pajamas. I said yes because it felt right, not because I needed a diamond or a ceremony or someone's permission to feel whole. But we hadn't set a date. Part of me was still frozen by everything that had come before. What if the family made it messy? What if old wounds reopened? Then I realized something. They didn't have to be part of it at all. So we planned a small ceremony. 20 people. Backyard. Flowers from the local market. My dress cost less than Sophie's veil. No bridal party. No performance. Julian and Nico walked me down the aisle. Luca cried before I even got to him. My mom came. She hugged me and said nothing, just held on a few seconds longer than usual. My dad stayed home. That was his choice. I didn't fight it. And Sophie? She sent a card. Not to me, to Luca. It said, take care of her. She deserves someone who sees the whole picture and still chooses her. I didn't cry when I read it. I smiled. Not because I forgave her, but because I finally didn't need to. The day passed in a blur of soft music and warm light. There were no speeches about fairy tales. No illusions. Just love, flawed, real, and hard-won. Later that night, Luca held my hand and whispered, "You okay?" I nodded. Better than okay. I had lost so much, a version of my family, my sister, my innocence. But in its place, I had something stronger. Not the illusion of peace, but the kind you earn by refusing to disappear. I chose truth. I chose myself. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel broken. I felt free.